March 26, 2000 was an important day for Vladimir Putin. On that day, he was elected president in the Russian presidential election with 52.9% of the vote. The election results were predictable. When Boris Yeltsin suddenly resigned from office on December 31st, 1999, Putin, who had been prime minister since August 9th, 1999, also took over presidency in accordance with the Constitution. The Russian Constitution at that time did not allow a president to serve more than 2 consecutive terms. Therefore, there was a vacancy in the election on May 7, 2008. Putin's confidant, Dmitry Medvedev, former chairman of the supervisory board of Gazprom, replaced Putin. A day later, the Russian parliament, the Duma, elected Putin as the new head of government with 87.1% of the vote on Medvedev's recommendation. Although Medvedev held the highest office, Putin continued to hold the reins behind the scenes. Putin has been in power for 21 years as president and prime minister of Russia. His current presidential term began in 2018 and ends in 2024. In the draft constitutional amendment, Putin's previous term of office will be completely erased. Thus, he can return to office for 2 more terms or 12 more years after his term expires in 2025. If he remains in power until 2036, Putin will retire at the age of 83, which is 11 years younger than Mahathir Mohamad when he returned to become Prime Minister of Malaysia in 2018. Putin announced the constitutional amendment in 2020. In addition to the presidential term, he also presented other proposals that he said were necessary to adapt to modern life. On March 11, 2020, the Russian parliament approved the amendment. Putin then signed a decree calling for a referendum on the constitutional amendment. Initially, the referendum was to be held on April 22, 2020. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the referendum and many mass gatherings were postponed. In his long history of ruling his country, Putin is only a few years behind Joseph Stalin. It is only a matter of years before Putin can surpass him if his health and lifespan are a little longer than Stalin's. Putin probably believes that only death can end his reign, and only then will the Russian people think about who his successor will be. Putin began his career as a KGB intelligence officer after graduating from Leningrad State University with a law degree in 1975. Putin was assigned to Dresden, East Germany, and worked undercover as a translator for 5 years from 1985 to 1990. In 1996, Putin's career took off and he moved to Moscow to work in the Kremlin, occupying various important positions. On December 31st, 1999, Yeltsin suddenly announced his resignation as president, which came as a surprise to many. Putin realized that political power needed to be built with resources from all quarters, including Russian businessmen and oligarchs. Putin firmly told the oligarchs not to enter politics and interfere with his power in exchange for this. The government would allow them to run their businesses as they pleased without any interference from the government. When Boris Berezovsky and Vladimir Guzinski began to vocally criticize Putin's policies, Putin silenced their media outlets and they became entangled in legal cases. Mikhail Khodorkovsky, who called Putin corrupt, was arrested and sentenced to 10 years in prison on charges of fraud. With these 3 precedents, other vocal oligarchs decided to leave Russia for the sake of their personal safety and that of their companies.